This is Chargers Now. I am your host, Will Ortner, and today we've got a lot of NFL news ahead of free agency, but I want to focus in and talk about one specific piece of news that broke a little bit late last night around the LA Chargers, and of course, one Khalil Mack. That's right, Khalil Mack is returning to the National Football League. Now, it is important to note that he is not necessarily returning to the Los Angeles Chargers. He is open to free agency, and so the Chargers are going to have to bid, just like everyone else, to try and get this edge rusher's talent. But it does feel like there is a pretty decent avenue for Khalil Mack to end up returning to LA. Do you want Khalil Mack in Los Angeles? Let me know down below in the comment section, yes or no. I feel like I am going to see a lot of yeses, not a whole lot of nos, but it is important to kind of poll the people's opinion. Ian Rapoport had this to say about Khalil Mack coming back. He is going to play. He does not want to retire. It does feel like it is pretty clear that Khalil Mack doesn't want to end his career without getting a Super Bowl victory. And at the age of 35, basically, he is going to go through this every year at the end of the season, the rest of the way, on will he come back or will he not come back to the National Football League. Now, it definitely feels like there is an avenue for him to return to Los Angeles, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he has to. We have seen a lot of players in the past say, hey, I am open to returning to the team that I was previously playing for, but I'm going to hit free agency and I'm going to see what teams come calling. And when you look at the Los Angeles Chargers, I think they have a pretty good package to be able to go out and get him. But it's going to be important, do the Chargers really want to go out and get Khalil Mack? I think there are a couple of different reasons why Mack would be obviously a great fit in LA, but I could also see a reason, or I could see a world where potentially the Chargers might say, hey, we're going to put a lot more money towards Odafe Oweh, and if that doesn't work, then we go sign Khalil Mack as a backup. I'll tell you this, I do want to see Khalil Mack back in LA. Here are my reasons why. First of all, he is still very productive. I think a lot of times when you see these players at the end of their careers, you kind of start to see a very clear dip in production, so much so that you're really more so just signing a player to sign the name value of the player and not really signing him for their production on the field. I think it's pretty clear when you look at last year for Khalil Mack, he is still very productive. Now, is he still going to be at the prime that he was in his career? No, and you're going to potentially have to deal with more injury issues than you may like just because he's an older player. But it is important to note that Mack, he had 5.5 sacks last year. That's a pretty darn good clip for having only played 12 games. When you look at his 24, 23, and 22 stats, yeah, the 23 stats, they are an anomaly. They are an outlier. But the rest of the way, that's a still really good, serviceable defensive edge rusher. That is still a really good player in the National Football League. Khalil Mack can still ball out. Is he going to be the top edge rusher? No. Is he someone that's going to get you a lot of production? Yes. And he can continue to add to this defense. We saw him have a lot of success this last season in Jesse Minter's defense. And guess what? Coach O'Leary's defense is going to be very similar to that. I think that Mack can easily stay with this Chargers team. And a way to keep him healthy might be, he takes a little bit less snaps. We've seen Von Miller do this at the different stops that he has gone on. But there is still an avenue for Mack to be very effective. Make sure that you hit that sub button. We're going to have you covered throughout the year of 2026 on the Los Angeles Chargers. You don't want to miss any of the news or rumors around it, so make sure that you hit that sub button. Another reason why the Chargers could go in and want to re-sign a guy like Khalil Mack is because of the added depth that he would give to this team. Obviously, Khalil Mack would be someone that was a focal point, or at least a focal point of that defensive line group. But it does feel like the Chargers right now want to continue to build up a lot of their strength at that edge rusher room, but they don't necessarily have a ton of players that are going to stay there. Obviously, Thule has to. He is under contract, but Odafe Oweh is someone who is not under contract next year for the Chargers. And I feel like right now it's 50-50 at best that he ends up coming back. Now, what I find fascinating about Oweh is he had a lot more of his successes when he was in LA with the Chargers last season. Obviously, the tackle numbers, TFL numbers, sack numbers, they all jumped through the roof. But Baltimore just signed Jesse Minter to be the new head coach. Minter, obviously, the defensive coordinator with our Chargers. And so Oweh would be able to go in back to the defense that he had so much success in with an organization and a franchise that he had a lot of success with. And it feels like that could be the easy spot for Oweh to go. It also is going to be obvious because of his success at the end of the year and this being a league of what have you done for me lately so much. It would not shock me if Odafe Oweh has a very large market in NFL free agency, especially since he plays a premium position. It would not shock me if there were a multitude of teams who came in and offered a lot more money than we previously expected with more years for a guy like Odafe Oweh. It would not be all that crazy to see Oweh decide, hey, you know what? It might make more sense for me to go somewhere else where the Chargers can reach out to Khalil Mack and say, hey, man, we want to add you into this crew and we see you being a great addition to this defense. I believe that it might make more sense for the Chargers to bring back Khalil Mack because he fits this squad better. As you can see here from the linebacker depth chart with this squad, because Khalil Mack and Oweh technically are outside linebackers, even though they're really edge rushers who are on the line of scrimmage more often than not, you can see that if both of them were to be gone, you'd really only have Thule and then a washed version of Bud Dupree. I'm not trying to be mean to Bud Dupree, but that just kind of is the situation. So clearly the Chargers need to sign one of these guys in free agency while potentially even signing another edge rusher in free agency, or what they can do is go and target someone in the NFL draft. So getting Khalil Mack, that's going to add depth while also giving you someone who, at the very minimum, can walk off the bus and be a starter at the beginning. Now, you might want to find a way to get those snaps down a little bit. That doesn't mean he can't be a starter for you. I believe there's also a mutual attraction right now going between the Chargers and Khalil Mack and Mack's camp because, well, he spent a lot of time in LA. He clearly enjoys it and he clearly believes that the Chargers are on the right path. It does feel like both Khalil Mack and the Chargers want to be reunited. Mack has had multiple comments where he said he really likes the Chargers. The Chargers have had multiple comments where they say they really like Mack. And it definitely feels like this is something that might be more of an inevitability than it is necessarily something that, hey, it's 50-50. Khalil Mack likes what Harbaugh is doing for this squad. He likes Joe Ortiz as the general manager. It just seems clear to me at this point that Mack has a really strong inclination of returning. Daniel Popper of The Athletic had this to say about where Khalil Mack, his thought process is right now. Coming out of the NFL scouting combine, my sense is that Mack will return to the Chargers. He could retire. He could make a bigger salary elsewhere, but at this stage, winning is the priority for Mack, and the Chargers present a very good opportunity to do so. He believes in quarterback Justin Herbert and head coach Jim Harbaugh. The Chargers are built to win now. And that, at the end of the day, is going to be what's most important for Khalil Mack. He's made all of his money. The one thing that's eluded him is that Super Bowl title. And you know it's going to be a very big deal for him. And it's something that he wants to achieve. It's something that he wants to accomplish. So the best way for Khalil Mack to end up reaching that goal and reaching those heights that he is aspiring to, it's by signing with a team that's in a win now. And that's certainly the Chargers. The Chargers will win the AFC West next season. Agree or disagree? Let me know down below in the comment section because I certainly believe that the Chargers are going to find a way to come away with a victory. At the end of the day, the last reason and maybe the most important reason on why the Chargers should re-sign Khalil Mack is always going to be salary cap space, and the Chargers have plenty of salary cap space to make this deal a reality. When we look at the top 5 teams in cap space in the National Football League, right now the Chargers are in that 5th spot because of some moves that the other teams have made. And so clearly there is a lot of room there for the Chargers to go make these moves. The other thing that I think is important with the Chargers is they don't have necessarily anyone other than Thule where they really need to look at a big extension, right? So that means that the Chargers' money is more likely going to be able to go to a multitude of different players. Obviously, they're going to take a big swing at Tyler Linderbaum, but it feels like there's enough salary cap space to make Khalil Mack want to return to LA. I believe that we're going to see Khalil Mack in Los Angeles in 2026. It feels like the Chargers want to get a deal done. It feels like Khalil Mack and his camp wants to get a deal done. It feels like it's only a matter of time. Is Khalil Mack going to be the same player that he was 4 or 5 years ago? No. But he's still a very good player, and he's someone that can help be a veteran leader and still a primetime performer to push this team to the heights that they want to achieve. If the Chargers are going to end up winning a Super Bowl, they need a veteran to come in and be a big-time important player on that defensive side, and I think Khalil Mack can be that. Just look at the Seahawks. They won a Super Bowl with an aging veteran edge rusher that was supposed to be over the hill. His name was DeMarcus Lawrence, and he was a major part of that defense. Khalil Mack, I would say that people aren't even saying that he's over the hill yet, the way that they were saying about DeMarcus Lawrence, and I think he can be a major, impactful piece on this team, and should be, and will be, for the Los Angeles Chargers. If you love the LA Chargers, make sure you come on in and hit that thumbs up button. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet and you're just checking us out, make sure that you hit that sub button. We're going to have you covered with daily videos on the LA Chargers throughout the great year of 2026. You don't want to miss any of that. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video, and bolt up.